got to be thinking, what can we do to win a ball game? Obviously, controlling the game has not been enough for them to win it at this point.
Again, Joe, it goes back to cutting down on mental mistakes. Mental mistakes obviously can happen when it really doesn't count or in crucial situations. Unfortunately for West Geauga, we've only seen them the last 2 games, but again, the mental mistakes have happened on big plays, and you know, that's always going to compound the problem of a big play and always make you be working out of a deficit.
Once again, a reminder, every Monday night here on Cablevision Channel 20, we will have a CVC Game of the Week now through the end of the season. It's going to be the CVC Game of the Week. Each game will involve at least one of the 4 schools in the Cablevision primary service area, be it West Geauga, whom you're seeing tonight, Chardon, Kenston, or Chagrin Falls. At least one of those 4 teams will be involved in every one of our games. Due to contractual agreements, we cannot tell you where we are going to be any given week in advance. We can, however, tell you that each week on the CVC Game of the Week, you will see one of the 4 schools in the Cablevision primary service area. And we've had a lot of fun. This is the 6th week of the season. We're 60% of the way through, and it just seems like it's been a couple of weeks to me.
I'd say 55%. We're only at halftime of our 6th game there, Joe.
Well, you're really cutting hairs there, John.
That's right. Barbering is my advocation.
Yes.
Okay, recapping last week in the CBC, we had the game we watched. Chardon beat West Geauga 16-7. Kenston rode over Twinsburg 21-7. Chagrin Falls beat Orange 10-0. And Solon beat Wycliffe 26-16. Tonight action in CBC is the game we're watching presently, Orange at West Geauga. Solon goes to Chagrin Falls in the battle of the unbeaten. Twinsburg will be at Chardon, the other unbeaten team in the CBC, and Wycliffe goes to Kenston. Standings so far in CBC are, we have Chagrin sitting at 5-0, 2-0 in the CBC. Chardon sits at 4-1, 2-0 in CBC. Solon 2-3, 2-0 in the CBC. Wycliffe 3-2, 1-1 in the CBC. Kenston 2-3, 1-1 in the CBC. Orange is 2-3 on the season with an 0-2 CBC record. Twinsburg is 2-3 and 0-2 in league play. And West Geauga, our host team tonight, is 1-4, 0-2 in CBC, and hoping to improve that this evening.
Well, we're getting all set for the second half here. The second half is not too far away. West Geauga will be receiving the ball in this half after Orange took the ball to start the ball game. This is a good time to remind you once again that if you have a local news tip, call the Geauga Times leader, 286-6101 or 564-5707 for 12 weeks of 7-day delivery for only $12. That's the Geauga Times leader, your local newspaper. Well, we're about all set to go here. The second half is getting ready to unfold, and once again, it was the first half dominated by the quarterback of Orange, number 22, Kevin Owen. Owen ran for 73 yards on the game's first play from scrimmage for a touchdown. And then in the second quarter, following a fake punt on which the West Geauga special teams were caught napping, which gave Orange a first down at the 31-yard line, Owen ran for 22 yards and another Orange score. Those were the only 2 scores of the first half. West Geauga had the ball only 3 times in the first half, but twice on long marches they drove within the Orange 15-yard line. The first time, Greg Craddock, the quarterback, fumbled at the 5. Orange recovered at the goal line. And on the second possession, after a sack and a poor snap on a field goal attempt, Tom Richards missed a 30-yard field goal attempt. Because of that poor snap, basically the ball hit the crossbar and bounced the wrong way. And that's basically been the story of the first half. Certainly, West Geauga could get back in the ball game. They've controlled the action up to this point. What they do here on this first possession of the third quarter, I think, will be very, very critical, as they will get the ball. And we'll see what they do on offense. So we're all set to go. Mike Mazurko deep to receive, number 17, along with number 30. John Julian is in the middle, and on the far end of the screen, number 24, John Quinlan. And the kicking for Orange will be number 14, Matt Farkas. Barkett didn't impress me as having a particularly strong leg in practice. In fact, he had trouble hitting extra points consistently, although he's hit both of his attempts in the ball game. That's a short squib kick, rolling down inside the 25, and it rolls out of bounds to the 23-yard line. That penalty will force Orange now to kick the ball from the 35.
Yeah, that's a definite weakness to this Orange squad is their kicking game. We were watching also the punts, and they weren't too very impressive in those either. We've illustrated in other weeks that we've watched the teams with the good kicking, the teams does improve the attitude, naturally the field position of the teams, and helps the whole squad. Kicking game is just a very, very important part of football, which you like to have the good kicker, but if you don't have the luxury of having one or hopefully two on your roster, it definitely hurts your chances.
Let's see a very good example of what a guy like Dale Backus does for Chardon. That's an excellent example. He probably won a couple of games this year single-handedly for that team. There's a low kick once again, comes on a high hop to Mazurko, the 25, 30, 35, and he's thrown down as he reaches the 38, possibly the 39-yard line. Let's call it the 38. It'll be 1st and 10 for West G at their own 38-yard line.
Well, gentlemen, this opening series for West Geauga is going to set the tone, I think, in the second half. Again, West Geauga's got to be patient, work the game plan, do what they were doing the first half, and take it all the way down the end zone.
Wide to the right comes Sterlikar. Wide to the left is Quinlan. Tight to the left is Blasey. And the give goes to John Julian. Julian cutting to the outside, 40, 45, midfield. He's cut down by Kevin Owen as he reaches the Orange 48-yard line. He has a West G first down.
Do you know why John Julian was out last week? What was his injury he pulled up on?
I think he just had a sore ankle.
Oh, is that what it is? Because I noticed he seemed to have trouble trying to cut that play back to the inside. I was wondering if it was a foot injury or knee injury of some sort.
I can see where West Geauga is sure glad to have his feedback.
1st and 10 at the 48-yard line of Orange for West G. Wide to the right comes Quinlan. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Tight to the right is Blasey. And the give is to Lorenzo, and Lorenzo goes down to about the 46-yard line. Thrown down there by number 79, and that is John Chianti, who's been on quite a few plays for Orange tonight. Gain of 2. It'll be 2nd down, about 8 yards to go.
Yeah, as Joe mentioned, John Chianti is doing a very, very fine job for Orange this evening. We've noticed him in the middle of many, many tackles because, well, then again, that falls into just basic strength of this thing is the tackle plays where they collapse on the middle, hold their ground because of the spread of the linebackers where you have to go get them. So that's a good position to play in this sort of defense.
2nd down and 8 at the 46-yard line. Craddock drops back, looking. Dumps a screen out to Quinlan. 50, 45, 40. He's still going down inside the 35, down to the 33-yard line. A well-executed screen by the West Geauga Wolverines, working for 13 yards and a first down.
Again, that was a good play on West Geauga's part. Again, they're not trying to go deep, long bombs, or any dangerous type passes. It's just an ideal situation. That's kind of down in yardage to try and work yourself a flanker screen. Paid off very nicely.
1st and 10 at the 33-yard line for West Geauga. In motion right comes Quinlan. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Tight to the right is Blasey. Craddock to throw, rolling to the outside under heavy pressures. Hit as he throws. And the ball comes up wide of Matt Blasey at the 32-yard line. He would have had only a short gain had he caught the ball, and it brings up 2nd down.
Yeah, the West Geauga fans were screaming for an interference play on that call, but I'm not really sure. It's hard to see from behind whether he had a hand on him or not. I think it was just good, tight coverage on that Orange player part.
For a minute, though, I thought Mr. Blasey had 4 hands.
The old Marcel routine.
1st and 10 at the 32-yard line. Wide to the right comes Quinlan. Wide to the left is Sterlikar. Tight to the right is Blasey. Richards up and Julian back in the eye. Craddock's pass is caught by Quinlan. He fumbles, and I believe Orange has the ball, and they do. Another bad break for the West Geauga Wolverines. A fumble by Quinlan after the catch. And once again, West G goes deep into Orange territory, only to lose the ball on a turnover, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Orange at the Orange 23-yard line.
See, at halftime we were talking to the parents of one of the West G players, and they referred to the West G team as being snake bit. I suppose this is another case of what they're referring to, where the penalty occurs at the wrong time, the coughed-up ball occurs just when they don't need it. They had a nice drive going. It was just stopped by giving up the ball.
West G has moved the ball exceptionally well, but they have nothing to show for it. Owen gives the ball off to Alan Raines, I believe. Or maybe that was Johnson. Excuse me. Johnson was the ball carrier. He didn't get much of anything. Got maybe a yard on the play. Stopped there by Petronas. And it'll be second down. Let's call it 9 yards to go. Orange ball, second down. Wide to the right comes Paradise. Owen rolling to his left. Still has the ball, and he is snowed under by the West Geauga defense. Brought down there by number 77, Scott Zabrowski, for a big loss, and it'll be third down and forever for Orange, all the way back at the Orange 15-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 18.
Yeah, Zabrowski and Petronas, they were having a track meet to get to Owen. Owen rolled away from him, and no one had blocking assignments on those two gentlemen on the back side of the play, and they just tremendous rush on their part. It's a beautiful play.
Third down, and let's call it 18 yards to go. Wide to the right is Woody. Wide to the left is Paradise. Owen is going to run another draw. Cuts the outside, 15, 20. Forced out of bounds to 21. This time the West Geauga defense was ready for it. They held Owen to a 6-yard gain. It'll be 4th down. Call it 4th and 12. And Orange will be forced to punt.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Orange does on the next series. It appears that West Geauga is keying rather heavily on quarterback
Kevin Owen.
Kevin Owen. Thank you, Joe. So it's a possibility that he could just give it to that up back and he could break a long run. It's a dangerous thing to do, to key on one man like that.
Kevin Owen gets a nice high punch. Julian fumbles it, picks it up at the 40, cuts across the 45, midfield, gets a good block, 45-40. He may be going all the way. Owen is the only man who could stop him, and Owen knocks Julian out of bounds to the 25-yard line. It'll be a 1st and 10 for West Geauga, deep in Orange territory at the 25-yard line of the Orange Lions.
Gentlemen, how many times do we see this, a fumble or muck kick, and then all of a sudden you see a big play? I think coaches ought to work on designing those kind of plays intentionally, because there always seems to be a big play on muck.
Julian showed a lot of composure there. You know, he could have really gotten rattled fumbling that punt. Instead, he just calmly picked it up, knew he had plenty of time. There was nobody near him. Just picked it up and ran with the ball. And once again, the give is to John Julian, and Julian gets down to about the 20-yard line. He's knocked down. Actually, that's Richards, the ball carrier. Excuse me. A gain of about 5 on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 5.
Yeah, I think West Geauga is setting them up for a few handoffs. I expect to see the ball on the ground quite a bit, then a play action fake off of that. It looks like they're gearing up their ground game now, realizing that's probably the safest way to keep the ball, because most of their fumbles have been occurring on recepted passes.
They've mixed the run and the pass very well, and they've moved the ball very easily in this ball game. Wide to the left is Quinlan, and he comes in motion left. Wide to the left is Sterlikar. They give us to Julian, 20, down to about the 15-yard line. He is within measuring distance of a West Geauga 1st down, and in fact may have it. And I believe he does. Well, they're calling a 3rd down now. They're going to call it a little bit short, I guess. He's going to be a little bit short of a 1st down, maybe a foot or two. It'll be 3rd down and less than a yard for West Geauga as they break huddle outside the Orange 15-yard line. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Wide to the right is Quinlan, and Craddock takes it himself. Greg Craddock takes the ball down to the 11. He picked up 4 yards, and that will be good for a West Geauga 1st down.
Joe, I think we ought to give the West Geauga offensive line some real good credit tonight. They're really playing aggressive blocking up there in the pit. And that's Bob Nagy, Todd Benessi, Paul Powers, Mike Stevnicki, and Bob Fortenbaugh.
They've opened a lot of holes there for West G running backs tonight. The slot right is Quinlan. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Richards left. Julian right in the T behind Greg Craddock on 1st and 10 from the 11. The give is to Richards, and Tom Richards is going nowhere. He gets inside the 10 down to the 9. He was hit almost immediately by number 64, Joe Cohen, and also number 56, Matt Anderson. Never had a chance to get rolling. It'll be 2nd down and 8.
One observation I've made tonight is with Tom Richards. Last week he was forced to play tailback. He's naturally a fullback, and it really demonstrated to me how difficult it is for a young man to switch in the running positions, particularly in the power I. And he's definitely a fullback material. He looks real good tonight.
2nd down and 8 at the 9-yard line. Craddock gives the ball to Julian. Julian cuts inside the 7, maybe down to the 6. Brought down there by number 75, Rodney Jordan. Call it a gain of 3. It'll be 3rd and 5 for West G at the orange 6-yard line. And once again, West Geauga down deep in orange territory. Every other time they've been down here in the game, something has happened to them. We'll see whether they can convert something now.
What would you think of the old play action at this moment? You think that'd be a good safe call?
Run-pass option would be nice. Definitely something, a rollout with a run-pass option would definitely be nice. 3rd down and 5 from the 6-yard line. Craddock rolling to his right. Throws it into the end zone. It is overthrown, intended for Matt Blasey. Blasey was smothered, and he could do nothing but throw the ball away, Greg Craddock. It'll be 4th down.
West Geauga, they obviously have a tough decision to make here, but being down 14-0, I think it's a good idea to give it a go. I think they got to try and they've got a chance to get a 1st down and optimally get themselves a touchdown.
We'll see what they're planning to do here, and of course they are going to go for it. 4th and 5.
I think I'd take 3 in this case, just to get points, get momentum build up.
Quinlan to the left. Out to the right comes Mazurko. Richards left and Julian right in the tee. Now Julian comes in motion left. Quinlan rolling, or Craddock rather, rolling to his left in a lot of trouble. Now he comes back and he's sacked. He's sacked all the way out at the 17-yard line. Once again, West Geauga drives deep into orange territory only to be denied. And for the 3rd time in the ball game, the Wolverines get inside the 15-yard line of orange and come out of it with no points.
Yeah, one of the reasons I was pushing for a score was I figured at worst they would be turning the ball over down around the 5-7-yard line, and unfortunately on that sack, it's not going to even work out to that type of benefit.
Yeah, I think, what does this do to the West Geauga defense psychologically? It can't help them any either, you know. And when you're 1-4, and obviously a lot of things have not been going your way, and you have a few breaks like this, you wonder what it does to a team's composure.
What would you have done in that case, Joe? I stuck my neck out, Mick stuck his neck out. Which way would you have gone in that one?
Are you talking about...
would you have gone for it or taken the 3?
Yeah, at this point in the ball game, I would have gone for it, because the 3 points really don't help them very much. They've still got to score twice to win the ball game.
Well, I was just looking at it as a case of letting them know that they can put points on the boards. It's a psychological advantage of getting the momentum turned around, so it's not points going against you, it's points going in your direction. Because obviously they're able to move the ball this evening, so I thought it'd just be a good opportunity to just get some safe points and hopefully come back to get a couple more scores.
I don't know, if it was 14-0 in the 2nd quarter, you know, obviously I would have gone for the 3. But at this point of the ball game, you know, West Geauga needs a big lift. They need a touchdown, really, and I don't know whether the field goal would have really done much for them in that situation. We'll have to put Mick on the hot seat here and see what he thinks about all this.
I think Coach Poe's guy did the right thing.
Well, I agree with you in that situation there. Kevin Owen gives the ball to Johnson. Johnson gets out to about the 20-yard line. He picked up 3. It'll be 2nd and 7.
Yeah, I guess work has gone now in the West G defense to hold this down. I'm just wondering, I'm afraid of a breakaway from the orange offense by this team that seems to be going on towards quarterback Owen. A good little double fake or something. Run the double option. Could be a good play at the moment. Fake in the line to the fullback, pitch out to the tailback.
Owen to throw, dumped it out for Paradise, and it was almost intercepted by number 22 of the West Geauga Wolverines, Brett Schultz. And had Brett Schultz intercepted that ball, it would have been a touchdown.
He could have walked into the end zone, Joe.
That was a nice play by Brett. Dropped back into his coverage, read the quarterback, and the quarterback really telegraphed that pass, and he reacted very nicely. Well, people are groaning that he should have caught it, but first thing you want to do is make sure the receiver doesn't catch it. And the best bet is to knock it down.
I don't think he had that good an opportunity for the interception.
It'll be third down, about 8. Owen to throw under heavy pressure, throws it downfield for Jimmy Woody. It's incomplete. And after much deliberation, the referee throws a very controversial flag for pass interference.
It kind of looked like incidental contact to me. Both the defensive and the offensive receiver were looking back at the ball, and I just think it was incidental contact.
If anything, if there should have been any call at all, it should have been offensive pass interference because Jimmy Woody ran up the back of that West Geauga defensive back. Basically, the defensive back was playing the ball. He wasn't playing the man. Woody just simply ran over him in his effort to get to the ball. I think if anything, I would have, if I had called I would have called that a no call myself if I had been officiating. But if I were to go either, if I had to go either way, had to call pass interference on somebody, I would have called it an offensive penalty on that play. First and 10 at the 33-yard line. Owen rolling to his right, keeps the ball, gets across the 35, and there's a fumble. I believe it rolls out of bounds and still belongs to Orange.
West Geauga is doing what I alluded to in the second half review, and they're really keen on Owens. There's 1 and 2 guys always hitting the quarterback, and with Owens' running threat, you have to do that and take your chances that you can contain and string out the tailbacks on that option. And right now, it's working for West Geauga.
I think we could say safely that Kevin Owen is the Orange offense. Not a part of it. He is the Orange offense, really.
This evening.
At least this evening. Wide to the left comes Brooks, Bill Brooks, and the slot left is Woody. Rolling to his left is Owen. Throws across the middle, and it is in and out of the hands of Brooks at the 48-yard line, incomplete. Covering on the play for West Geauga, number 11, Bill Coach, who played an outstanding game last week up at Chardon. It'll be third down.
I was a little surprised that there wasn't a flag thrown on that play. I thought quarterback Owen did a little hit, pulled back from center just a hair early, it seemed to me. Gave a little hip motion again from his quarterback slot, which is procedure penalty. I'm surprised there wasn't a flag thrown.
They've been pretty liberal on motion. I've seen a number of instances in this game where both teams could have been called for illegal motion, and they weren't. Back to throw. Owen under heavy pressure, gets away from one West Geauga tackler, rolls across the 30, 35, and he's hemmed in by a whole horde of West G players led by Mike Mazurko, number 17, and also number 51, Todd Beninati. Now, the gain of only about 2 on the play. It'll be fourth down. Let's call it 4 yards to go for Orange, and Orange will be in a punting situation. Now, once earlier, back in the second quarter, with almost the same position on the field, they ran a fake, got 32 yards on the play, wound up with a first down at the 31 of West Geauga, and later Owen took it 22 yards for a score. This time they are going to punt the ball, and Owen gets a high driving kick. Julian fumbles it, picks it up at the 5-yard line, out to the 10, coming to the outside, in a lot of trouble. 15, stays on his feet down at about the 18-yard line, and now we have a flag.
I don't know exactly what that flag was. I saw a West Geauga player, number 51, do a good job. He had a bad angle on him, could have clipped, decided to back off. It was a good choice on him. Maybe somebody else didn't make the wise choice. I'm not sure what the penalty is.
Apparently that's the way the situation was, because they're talking it over with Orange, and it's a clip against West Geauga, and the Wolverines, who've had enough problems in this ball game with 2:52 to play here in the third quarter, are now going to have terrible field position to go along with it. And let me remind you while we're at it that you can get all of the local and national sports news every day home delivered in the Geauga Times-Leader. Call 286-6101 or 564-5707 for 12 weeks of 7-day delivery for only $12. That's the Geauga Times-Leader, your local newspaper. First and 10 for West Geauga. They'll have the ball at their own 6-yard line, trailing by 14 points with just over 2 minutes to play here in the third quarter. And the ball is given, I believe, to Tom Richards. Richards gets out to about the 9-yard line. He picked up 3. It'll be second down, about 7.
I I think they had a hole open up there. It looked like the right tackle for West G was slanting over, missed his block on a linebacker who filled the hole rather nicely, and that's what killed that play off. If it wasn't for that one missed block, I think he had one heck of a hole to make a nice gain on.
Second down, let's call it 7 yards to go for the West Geauga Wolverines. Wide to the left comes Sterlikar. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. Richards left, Julian right in the T behind Greg Craddock. Quinlan comes in motion left. Here's the give again to Tom Richards. Cross the 10, breaks a couple of tackles, gets out to the 12, maybe the 13-yard line. Brought down there by number 38 of the Orange Lions. That is Eric Goss. It'll be third down. Let's call it about 4 for West G.
I'll tell you, Orange, two tackles, defensive tackles are just huge fellas. They're both juniors, both 6'1" and 250 pounds. They're just a couple of lead blocks out there. Tough to push out of the middle.
Third down, about 4. Wide to the left comes Mazurko. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. Coming in motion left is Quinlan. Richards left, Julian right in the T. The give this time is to John Julian. Julian fights his way across the 15 out to the 17, possibly the 18-yard line, and he should have enough for a West Geauga first down. And it is. It is first and 10 for the West Geauga Wolverines at the West Geauga 18-yard line.
Yeah, give West Geauga a lot of credit. There's a critical series of plays there to get themselves out of the end zone. I think one more drive will get them out into the area of the field where they can start running the play-action passes again.
First and 10 from the 18. Wide to the left is Sterlikar. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey, and the slot right is Julian. Coming in motion left is Quinlan. Fake to Richards. Craddock to throw. Rolling to his left under heavy pressure. Now rolls to his right. He's going to have to run the ball. 15, 20. Out of bounds up around the 25-yard line. He was thrown into the fence, and instead of a much-needed flag and that sort of play, there is no flag. It'll be second down, about 3 yards to go.
On that particular one, I'd have to agree with West Geauga Rooters. Joe Cohen, the left side inside linebacker, made a rather late push. Young quarterback was already out of bounds. He gave him a little push in towards the fence area. I think it was unnecessary. Ref was right there. I really don't know why there wasn't a flag thrown on that play.
It was about as close to a cheap shot as you'll find, and there was no call.
I think over-enthusiastic would be the proper term, Joe.
Yes, that's a different term for it. They both mean the same thing, really. Second down and 3. Wide to the left comes Sterlikar, and motion left Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. The give is to Julian. Julian out to about the 27-yard line, we'll call it. Just short of the 28. He is also just short of a first down. It'll be third down, maybe actually less than a yard. It'll be third down and about half a yard for a West Geauga first down.
Joe, has Mazurko been in on offense tonight?
Yes, he has, but he hasn't had an opportunity, really. He hasn't had anything thrown his way. Apparently, he has not been open.
Yeah, I was impressed with him last week. He had a lot of speed, and I think that's one thing that's lacking right now out of West Geauga is some speed on that wide receiver, because every time Craig rolls out, there's just nobody breaking downfield to open up the defense.
We saw it last week. In fact, to speak of the devil right there, Mike Mazurko comes into the ball game and Dave Sterlikar leaves. Mike Mazurko was open 5 or 6 times on patterns down the sideline where he had his man beaten last week in Chardon. Greg Craddock just simply didn't get the ball to him. A lot of times he threw it short, came up short on the throw, and Mazurko was forced to come back for the ball, which gave the defensive back an advantage, took away the disadvantage that he had by being beaten a step or two. And tonight, Mike Mazurko has been in the ball game, but we haven't seen the ball thrown in his direction very often, if at all. Third down, and we'll call it half a yard. And Greg Craddock is going to try to take it himself, and Joe Cohen was there looking for it, and he beat the center right to the block, beat the block of the center and cut Craddock down, and if anything, he lost yardage. It'll be fourth down and about a yard, and decision time again for Mike Posguy.
Yeah, I think that was just the case of West Geauga going to the well once too often. Seems like every third and short yardage is a quarterback sneak out for that. Well, excuse going to the well. I guess they went once plenty enough. So
well, I guess they
ended
did
up
get
being
enough.
a first down.
It didn't look like to me like he made any yardage at all, but must have had a forward push somewhere there. And that's the end of the third quarter here at West Geauga High School with our score. The Orange Lions 14, the West Geauga Wolverines nothing. we'll be back after this timeout. Well, we're all set to start the fourth quarter here with Orange leading West Geauga 14-0, same score we had at halftime. And West Geauga has the ball 1st and 10 at their own 28-yard line. Wide to the left comes Sterlikar. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. Tom Richards, now they shift into a T with Richards left and Julian right behind Greg Craddock. Craddock drops the throw, steps up, he's going for it long down the sideline, and it is through the hands of Quinlan and incomplete. It was Jimmy Woody was covering on the play. It'll be 2nd down. And once again, it's an excellent opportunity for me to remind you that you can start your Sunday morning off with a laugh. Read Marilyn Whipkey, only in the Geauga Times Leader. For 12 weeks of 7-day delivery for only $12, call 286-6101 or 564-5707. The Geauga Times Leader, your local newspaper. 2nd and 10 for West Geauga. Mazurko comes wide to the left. Quinlan now in motion left. Tight to the right is Blasey. Richards up, Julian back in the eye, and again Craddock to throw. Dumps a screen to Quinlan. 25, 30, breaks the tackle, gets out to the 34, possibly the 35-yard line. Thrown down there by Jimmy Woody, and also in under the play was Joe Cohen, who's been very active tonight for Orange. It'll be 3rd down, and let's call it about 4 for West Geauga, a gain of 6 on the play.
That was a creative offensive play there. They brought the flanker in motion, held him up at the end, and just kind of turned and waited, and it was supposed to be like a flanker screen pass over the middle. Very interesting.
Wide to the left is Sterlikar. Wide to the right is Quinlan. In motion left comes Julian. Rolling to his left is Craddock. Dumps it off to Julian, 40. Out to the 45-yard line. Thrown down by Jimmy Woody. And also number 26 there. No, excuse me, it was not number 26. It was number 28, Ross Berry, in on the play. Gain out to the 45-yard line. 11-yard pickup, a West G 1st down.
That was a case of running back Julia not thinking on that particular play. Should have cut it out of bounds, because right now the clock is definitely working in Orange's favor. He should have got himself out of bounds, stopped the clock, because they need the 2 scores. They got to put 2 in the end zone to get back in this game, either close or take the lead on him.
1st and 10 at the 45-yard line. In motion right comes Quinlan. The give is to Julian. A big hole for Julian. He gets all the way down to the 46-yard line of Orange, a 9-yard gain. Now West G will have 2nd and 1 at the 46.
Again, Julian showed us his fine running ability there. He's got very quick starting speed, guys. He comes out of that I-back really quick. Gets to the line real fast.
He's got a good first step, and if there's a hole open for him, he's going to hit it. And he's one of those kind of guys, all you have to do really is just open the hole. You don't have to open it even for very long, because he's right on the hole. You know. 2nd down, let's call it a yard. Richards up, Julian back in the eye. Once again, the give is to John Julian. He gets a big hole, 40, 35, 30, 29-yard line. Had Julian not lost his balance coming through the line, he would have gotten a lot more than that, and it's a West Geauga 1st down.
I see West Geauga looks like they want to execute the big play, because I saw a lot of downfield blocking further down the field for Mr. Julian. So if he could have got away from that one Orange defender, he might have had the opportunity to go all the way.
Ball is squarely on the 30-yard line. 1st and 10 for West G. It was a 16-yard gain. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right, Blasey. It's now Julian left and Richards right in the T formation behind Greg Craddock. Craddock to throw. Sideline. This pass is tipped, intended for Quinlan. Had that ball not been deflected and Quinlan caught it, he would have been gone for a pretty good gain, at least 6-7 yards, maybe more. It'll be 2nd down 10.
I think they were trying to run a quick slant pattern with Quinlan at flanker. And a lot of times if the timing's there, you can actually catch that cornerback sleeping, and you got a quick 6 points.
Second down, 10 yards to go at the 30-yard line. Wide to the left is Sterlikar. Wide to the right, Quinlan. Quinlan now comes in motion left. Tight to the right is Blasey. Give on the delay to Julian. Julian down to the 26. Calls the 26-yard line at least. He's thrown down there by Joe Cohen, number 64, also number 56, Matt Anderson. And they're not Mac, but Matt Anderson. Gain of 4. It'll be 3rd and 6 for West G at the Orange 26.
This is a part of the field where I like to see some long play action passes. Let's give it a try down that end zone right here before the defense gets all compressed.
3rd down and 6. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right, Blasey. Richards up. Julian back in the I formation behind Greg Craddock. Craddock rolling to his right. Looking to throw. He's going to run with the ball. 25. Down to the 20. He gets to the 19-yard line. And with that second effort there, after he was hit, picks up enough for a first down. It is 1st and 10 at the 19-yard line.
That was a nice run by Greg, but I think what the coaches want from West Geauga right now is some passes. They want them to roll out and start airing the ball out. They don't have a lot of time, and the quickest way to put points on the board is throwing the ball.
1st and 10 from the 19-yard line for West Geauga. Wide to the left comes Quinlan. Wide to the right is Sterlikar. Tight to the left is Blasey. Richards up. Julian back in the eye as Quinlan comes in motion right. Greg Craddock hands the ball to Julian. Over the left side down to the 15-yard line. It's cut down there by a horde of Orange defenders led by number 28, Ross Berry. Only there was one defender actually on the play. Gain of 4. It'll be 2nd down and 6 at the 15.
Okay, I tell you, Orange seems to be playing a containing type of defense right now. Their line is just holding up and making sure to seal holes and all. So I think this is the opportunity for the linebackers to be drawn in on a good play-action fake. So it'll be good to see what West G does in this particular play.
2nd down and 6. Wide to the right comes Quinlan. Here's the give now to Julian. Again, he's down to about the 11-yard line. Picked up 4. That'll make it 3rd down. Let's call it 2.
I'll tell you, John, I'm really impressed with Orange's linebacking core. They've been very active out there, and of course with that 40 defense, you're putting a lot of pressure on those kids.
Exactly so. I have been surprised that we haven't seen them blitzing and coming into the backfield, however. I don't know if it's in their basic defensive scheme or not, but I haven't seen any linebackers shoot forward and come into the West G backfield this evening.
3rd down for West Geauga. There is a see it, Quinlan in the slot right. The give is to Tom Richards, and Richards, through second effort, gets down inside the 10 to the 9, and he should have enough for a West Geauga first down. I believe he does. Good power running by Tom Richards. He just refused to go down, and he picked up enough for the first down.
That's what any coach wants out of his fullback, that ability to tough it, gut it out, and get that 1 and 2 and 3 really tough yards when everybody on the field knows that you're probably going to get the ball. It's a nice play.
1st and goal for West Geauga. They're at the 9-yard line of Orange. Orange leads at 14-0. Wide to the left comes Mazurko. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Now Quinlan comes in motion right, rather. Here's the give to Julian. Julian down inside the 5 to about the 1.5. It'll be 2nd and goal.
I tell you, the way this drive has been setting up and all, it looks like the game shifts and the pressure goes on to the West G defense, who has to get the ball back quick, because West Geauga doesn't seem that they have the grinding out offense. They don't seem to have the big play offense that can get them to score in a hurry. So it's up to the West G defense, assuming they can push it in the end zone right now.
2nd and goal for West Geauga, about 1.5 yards away from pay dirt. And the give is to Tom Richards, and he was hit behind the line of scrimmage, never had a chance. Thrown for a loss. It'll be 3rd down.
There's no excuse for a play like that to have the nose guard come in, because that was definitely a power fullback play right up the gut, and it was just an outstanding play by Orange and very poor play by the West Geauga offensive line.
Needless to say, somebody missed their block. 3rd down. Let's call it back out at the 3-yard line. Tom Richards lost almost 2 yards on that play. It'll be 3rd and goal, about the 3. Here's the give to Julian. Julian fights his way down to about the goal line, but he is held short. It'll be 4th down, and probably about a foot to go for a West Geauga touchdown.
Yeah, there's no question this time you go for 6.
And I believe West Geauga wants a timeout here. They're going to talk it over. Greg Craddock is going to go over to the sideline. Let's give you a time check now. We have 5:09 to play in the ball game. And obviously, as Don Walsh said, you've got to go for the 6 or 7 or 8 down here.
What would you do on the extra point? I'd go for the kick and go for the 2 points the next time. Would you take the 2-point attempt this time?
I think I'd do the same thing you'd do in that situation, John. I think I'd kick the extra point after this touchdown and wait for the second touchdown and try the 2.
No, I disagree. I'd go for the 8 points. Then when I have the opportunity to score the next touchdown, if I've made the 8 points, I know all I need to do is put a little chip shot field goal over to win it. If I don't make it, then I have the other opportunity to tie the game on the second touchdown running the ball.
Isn't that tie like kissing your sister there, Mick?
Definitely.
Hate to sound like a couple of ex-presidents here noted for changing their minds, but I think I'm starting to change my mind as a matter of fact. I think I might go with what Mick was saying there. Greg Craddock, let's see whether he got in. And he did. Greg Craddock fought his way through the middle of that line and got in for the score. He didn't have much help from his offensive line either. That was almost all Greg Craddock.
Well, we'll see what pattern of thought Coach Post guy believes in this one. Does he go with the Joe Scarola, who floats from side to side in Mick Naru's concept, or does he go with the John Walsh one? We'll have to see if he goes for 1 or 2.
Looks like they're going for 1 because Greg Craddock is off the field and Tom Richards is lined up 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and they'll attempt the extra point unless they've got a fake plan here. Mike Mazurko will hold. The ball is down. They're kicking it, and the kick by Tom Richards is up and good. So Richards puts the ball through. It's a 14-7 ball game. 5 minutes and 6 seconds left to play here at West Geauga High School. The Orange 14, West Geauga 7. And now the pressure shifts to the Orange offense and the West Geauga defense. And meanwhile, it's a good time for me to remind you once again that if you want to sell something and you need to sell something really fast, it is a good idea to call the Geauga Times leader Advisors at 286-6101 or 564-5707. They can help you sell what you need to sell. The Geauga Times leader Advisors. 286-6101 or 564-5707. The Geauga Times leader, your local newspaper. Deep to receive for Orange on the kickoff from Tom Richards. We're going to have number 27, Jim Romano, and also number 82, and that is Chris Paradise. And the ball comes down. That's not Paradise, that's Ross Berry. Berry comes out to about the 20-yard line, and he's thrown down by a very inspired group of West Geauga special teams players, including number 22, Brett Schultz, who made the initial hit. It'll be 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line.
I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our Karen, our self-proclaimed booth bouncer, who has been serving us coffee and taking care of us this evening. Thanks a lot, Karen.
Karen O'Brattle there deserves all the credit for being so nice to us tonight. And the people here at West Geauga High School have been very, very nice and very, very cooperative with us. Everybody here at the school that we've dealt with. Here's a give to number 31, Raines. He gets out to the 25-yard line. Flags are flying, and I would imagine that we will have some kind of a penalty here against the Orange Lions.
Yeah, I think it is, Joe, and this is a critical situation for SG's defense. They've got to force Orange only to have the ball 2 or 3 more plays and get the ball back, hopefully, in good field position. That should give them enough time to march the ball down there and make it interesting, hopefully, on the decision on the extra point.
Okay, they're discussing their options now. The thought is the clock is winding against West Geauga, so they're thinking about doing it. I would take the penalty at this time, though.
Blocking below the waist, a 10-yarder, I would have to take that penalty because even though you're allowing them to run off a little more time, you gain on the field position.
Also, it would have been 2nd and 5 only for the Orange team.
Exactly. They have almost no choice in that situation. Once again, we would like to thank all of the very nice people here at West Geauga High School who've been incredibly helpful to all of us here at Cablevision. Superintendent Robert Gilson, William Pierce, principal of West Geauga High School, Mike Posey, athletic director and head football coach, and all of the other people here at West D, including here's the give to, that is number 24, Jimmy Woody, I think. And Jimmy Woody comes out to about the 16-yard line. And, of course, also our infamous booth bouncer, Karen O'Brattle. They've all been very, very nice to us. They really have, and we appreciate their hospitality and their cooperation. Second down, let's call it about 14 yards to go.
That last play was nice by John Quinlan, the West Geauga left side cornerback. It was a counter. He stayed at home and met the runner head on. It was the kind of play you want to see out of your cornerback.
Wide to the left comes Paradise, and Kevin Owen has to keep the ball himself after being unable to hand it off, and the West Geauga defense smothers him at the 17, possibly the 18-yard line. And I believe it was number 57 right there on the play, Darryl Kalura, who's been in on a lot of plays here over the last 2 weeks that we've seen the West Geauga Wolverines.
I tell you, Orange is playing a very, very conservative game right now, just bucking right into the middle of the line, trying to hold on to the ball, keep from the bad turnover, which could hurt them. I don't know if that should be a rationale to do right now. I would try the outside, try to get the first down. Use that clock up, because right now the momentum is in West Geauga's favor, and I think their conservative approaches may end up hurting them in the end.
How many times do you see it, guys? You know, a team does very well on offense, opening things up. In the last 10 minutes of the ballgame, they turn conservative and wind up losing the game. Third down and about 13. Owen rolling to his right, now under heavy pressure. He's going to be hit and downed at the 17-yard line. Number 56, Jeff Pitcock, the middle linebacker, right in there on the play. West Geauga calls for timeout, and the West Geauga defense definitely did their job, and the West Geauga offense now will have another chance with 2 minutes and 54 seconds to play in the ball game. Once again, a reminder that if you want to start your Sunday morning off with a laugh, read Marilyn Whipsey, only in the Geauga Times-Leader. For 12 weeks of 7-day delivery for $12, call 286-6101 or 564-5707. The Geauga Times-Leader, your local newspaper.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Would you go for the block in this particular one, or just play the contain and go for the nice run back?
I'd play for the contain because I'd be afraid of a penalty in this situation. They're going to get good field position out of it anyway. Orange is back pretty far, and if they were up at about the 40, 45-yard line, I'd go after it. But in this particular part of the field, I think I'd kill the block and set up a return.
I'd have to agree with you, Joe. Mick, want to make it unanimous?
Yes, I'll make it unanimous. Yeah, I've got a lot of faith in Julian and Mazurko. They've got a lot of speed, and I think if Owens kicks another low-line driver, they're going to have a good opportunity to really return the ball and set up this last drive for West Geauga.
Mike Mazurko and John Julian are deep at about the 45-yard line of West Geauga, waiting for the punt from Kevin Owen. Owen gets a good snap. He's going to run with the ball. Now he stops and decides to kick it. That was an unusual decision. It's going to be a short kick. Julian is going to have to let it roll 40 down to about the 37-yard line, and Orange got more than they hoped for out of that one. West Geauga will have the ball first and 10 at their own 37-yard line after a rather daring but effective move by Kevin Owen.
I'm going to tell you, I think Mr. Owens is a heads-up football player. I don't think that was a fake run or anything off the punt. I think he saw that there was no rush coming in from West Geauga, and he just stalled and bought a few more seconds so his defense could get, his line could get down there and defense could kick.
I think it was a case of that, and the whole outside was open. He seriously was thinking of taking it, but then it sealed down, decided to do a smart thing and kick it away.
Mazurko comes wide left. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Greg Craddock to throw under heavy pressure, and he is going to be hit and downed all the way back to the 28-yard line. We have a flag. I think we had a face mask. I think somebody pulled on Craddock's face mask, and that will be a big break for the West Geauga Wolverines.
I tell you, I didn't really see the face mask infraction on that one. Oh, well, I guess Joe saw the right thing, though. It is a face mask.
That's what it was. Somebody grabbed Craddock's face mask, in fact, while he was down on the ground. A very, very stupid penalty, and the Orange Lions will pay the price.
The old San Martigliano self-inflicted wound striking again.
It sure is, and that's a 15-yard self-inflicted wound after a 9-yard loss on a sack, and instead of second down and 19 for West G back at about the 28-yard line, it'll be first and 10 up at the 42. 2 minutes and 18 seconds to play in the ball game. Wide to the left comes Sterlikar. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. Julian rolling to his right under heavy pressure, gets away from one blitzing man, fires upfield. It's caught by Blasey at the 49-yard line. He picked up about 7 yards. It'll be good for a first down. First and 10 for West G at the West G 49-yard line.
It's a nice play again by Greg Craddock rolling out. Orange is doing a beautiful job right now putting pressure on the quarterback, and the best way to start it offsetting that is run a few draw plays, maybe a screen here and there. So we'll have to see if West Geauga picks up on that.
First down for West G at the 49. Wide to the left is Quinlan. Wide to the right is Mazurko. Rolling to his left is Greg Craddock. Under heavy pressure, steps up, fires. It's caught by Quinlan. He's thrown down by number 22 of the Orange Lions, Kevin Owen, there at the 36-yard line. But it's good for 15 yards and another West Geauga first down.
I tell you, that was a nice block tackle made by linebacker Joe Cohen. It was really a good, solid hitter for this Orange defense.
The clock continues to run. We have 1:36 and counting left in the ball game as West Geauga breaks the huddle. First and 10 at the Orange 36-yard line. 14-7, Orange in the lead. Wide to the right comes Sterlikar, and motion right is Quinlan. Tight to the left is Blasey. The give is to John Julian. I believe there's a fumble, and who has it? Orange has it. A botched handoff. Julian never got the ball, and Orange recovers the fumble, and once again, with a nice drive going, the West Geauga offense self-destructs, and a very promising drive comes to an end.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. It seems the quarterback made the handoff way too high, bumped into the shoulder pads of the player rather than putting it into the soft stomach pocket, and that's what you end up with when you hit a hard surface like that on a handoff, is a coughed-up ball.
Well, one of the Orange partisans here told me at halftime that last week against the Grand Falls they won everything but the score on the scoreboard. Well, tonight they've had that situation reversed, because tonight they've lost everything but the score on the scoreboard, and it looks like they're going to win this ball game the way things are going right now. Mike Poe's guys, West Geauga Wolverines, asked for a timeout here. They're second. They have one remaining. And let's see, we have 56 seconds to play in the ball game. Things do not look good for the West Geauga Wolverines.
Definitely tough for the Wolverines. They played a good game from the 20 to 20. Unfortunately, once it was time to get in and put some points on the board, again, the phrase self-destruct is appropriate. On that fumble, one thing I noticed too on the quarterback was it was a reverse pivot handoff. Those are really difficult, because the quarterback's turning his back actually to the receiver he's going to hand off to, and a lot of times that's hard to get the ball right into the runner's stomach. It's tough play at that situation.
Two big touchdown runs by Kevin Owen in the first quarter, and now Owen takes the ball back and falls on it. West Geauga with one timeout remaining. See whether they use it now or use it after the third down play, if there's much time left at all. The clock is continuing to run, of course, and we're down to 38 seconds and counting. Orange has the ball third down and about 11 yards to go at their own 31. West G with one timeout remaining. They may get one final shot here before the game comes to an end, possibly. Third down and 11. Once again, Kevin Owen drops back and falls on the ball, and this time, I'm sure West Geauga will use their final timeout with fourth down coming. and they do use it. West Geauga calls for time. Oh, no, that's not it. That's the end of the ball game. Guess they didn't have any timeouts remaining. That's the end of the game here at West Geauga High School, and the West Geauga Wolverines, in spite of the fact that they pretty much controlled the ball game from start to finish, wind up 14-7 losers tonight to the Orange Lions. West Geauga falls to 1-5 overall. They're 0-3 in the CBC. Orange is now 3-3 overall. They're 1-2 in the CBC. They keep their hopes alive. For the West Geauga Wolverines, this is a big, big defeat. Might spell the end of any aspirations that they had this year for a CBC title.
Okay, recapping the Orange team tonight. Always seem to be having a little problem on the field. It's unfortunate to end a game like this. We hate to see this sort of thing. Anyhow, as far as the Orange team tonight, they started out very, very impressive, living off of quarterback Owen. Unfortunately, they just kind of, after that, changed their game plan, went into a conservative approach, which ended up working to their advantage tonight. Normally, I don't think that's a good approach. They're going to run up against other CBC teams that just are going to keep coming at them and stuff, and I think they're going to end up running into problems like that. You got to play 4 quarters of football in CBC. Overall, though, I think they showed a lot of promise. They got to shore up on their defense a little bit. Their offense, for some reason, was flat, short of the play of quarterback Kevin Owen. And I expect them to give some problems to other CBC teams this year. What do you think of West Geauga, Mitch?
Well, all I can do is offer some consolatory comments to West Geauga. I think they got a fine ball club.